Hello folks, Lindsay Hellison again, back with another Monday Motivation. Hope you all had a great weekend. I had a great weekend. Fully into summer, that's a great thing. Thank you all for looking at the past videos. The most recent one, frustration, justification. I hope they had a positive impact as you looked at things and really looked at and tried to determine, could you really justify your frustration. I had to take a little bit of my own knowledge and use that myself. I played basketball the other day with a couple of young guys. I consider myself a young guy, but young guys. And they got out there, man, they were running. This one team had been out there for a while. I realized I got to the run late. Couldn't go through my normal, over 40, preparation, getting on the bike, lifting some weights, Michael Jordan style, to really have a good run, a competitive run. And I got in there with a team that probably just didn't have the same skill set all the way around to match up with the guys we were playing with, who had been winning over and over and over again. Shout out to my guy, Alvin Holloway, for putting that run together over at Mount Union Baptist Church. But anyway, they ran us off the court, man. We changed teams, got a new team. They ran us off again. And we really gave them a good showing, probably the last game I played. And they stepped up. But I realized, man, these guys have been playing together all morning. They had this little system down that was really based off of one player would get a rebound and set up the offense. And all this to say, I was able to look back and reflect on things I've been sharing with you guys to help me in my ego state. That's right, my ego state, because we all have one to a degree. Because I wanted to be able to compete and be successful against a team that already put the work in, that already come together, that are already committed to each other, and I respect that. And I was able to get a different outlook. So that leads me to what I want to talk about today. There's going to be a few things we're going to touch on, a few terms, but the first I'll talk about is gratitude. That's right. You hear the term a lot, having an attitude of gratitude and things like that. But gratitude is very important, not just as just a term we use, but from a psychological perspective. If you look up the word gratitude, a quick link will come up referencing Psychology Today, which is a great resource to look at because it's information that has been widely studied, widely researched. And it talks about gratitude. And they define gratitude as having an emotion that's expressing appreciation for what one has, opposed to, for instance, to a consumer-driven emphasis on what one wants or needs. I'll talk about that. Having a appreciation for what you have, as opposed to this consumer-driven ideal we get for what we want or need. And I realize it, and I'm being honest, I'm being very transparent. A lot of things I get frustrated about is because I don't have a certain thing. I don't have this luxury car that's, a Maserati or a Benz or something like that. And actually I have a really good car. I'm going to give a shout out to my car right now. I have a 2012 Kia Optima Turbo. Emphasis on the turbo. I didn't appreciate my car because I got in an accident several years ago, horrible accident, because I got a Kia. The car was extremely safe. I talk about how my daughter was in the car just a few moments prior to the accident, but that car was extremely safe. And I vowed I would get another one, and I ended up getting like souped up one after that. And then I took the recent trip, many of you may saw, to Toronto, and I got a rental car. And the rental car didn't have the same power that my car. So the whole time I was away, I missed my car. I missed what I had. And I have a greater appreciation for my car now than ever before. Now, I know that sounds materialistically driven, but I'm just being honest and transparent about the things I want. So while I'll sit here and say, yeah, I want to get, I'll keep talking this Maserati, or, my daughter likes, the Jaguar, or these other big name brands, but I'm really happy with the vehicle I have, and more importantly, it's a very safe vehicle. I feel very good about that. So here I am having to change and show a little bit more gratitude. I'm going to give you a line from Mike Epps, a comedian. I love Mike Epps. If I ever see Mike Epps in the airport, I'm just going to go up to him and say, man, you crazy. And I love him, and I don't have any problem quoting Mike Epps right now, but he has something really interesting in the last stand-up that I saw. He said, if everyone brought all their problems of the world and brought them in one place and sat them down and walked away, and then you came back and you picked up problems, meaning someone else picked up yours, and you picked up someone else's problems, you probably will wish for the problems that you had. You'll probably want to wish and go back and get the problems that you had because you realized that you were probably most equipped to handle that. And what you thought was a problem wasn't really a problem at all. So it's so important that we continue to show gratitude for the things that we have. I'm showing gratitude for my 2012 Kia Optima. That's a brand that got me through a horrible accident. That's a brand now I tap the gas, it goes. I love it. It's an expensive upkeep, It's a really nice car. It has all the bells and whistles from leather, the sunroof, the things that are important to me, and I'm just talking about what I like. So as I sit here and try to have this desire for more consumer-driven items, nicer cars, bigger homes, bigger trips, let me appreciate the trip I just took. Let me appreciate the home that I have. And I think it's really important because the other part of gratitude, when you start doing that, we get into what's called a positive psychology. And it can't just be one of those, oh, I'm thankful. No, it has to be a deep, meaningful appreciation. Like I said, I didn't have that appreciation until I came back from my trip. After driving a car that I would try to get out in traffic, and it didn't have the power to move my family around in traffic. Kind of going back to, what my grandfather, who was a truck driver, used to say, you got to have a car you can get on the road and move around trucks with. So anyway, it doesn't just need to be a passing thought, oh, I'm thankful. It needs to be a real thoughtful expression. And I think when you do that, you get positive karma. The emails and the text messages and the phone calls you get start to be things that are building towards what you really want. But it all starts with a positive attitude towards gratitude. And if you notice, gratitude is one of the things I talk about in my 10-minute miracle. The first thing I do every morning when I get up, for the first 4 minutes of those 10 minutes, I write what I'm grateful for. Grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my home. I'm grateful for my car. I'm grateful for my friends. I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful for these things. And I have to say it and say it in a way that's meaningful to really be able to get the best out of that. So that's one term we talked about, gratitude. Another word I want to talk about specifically for some of my athletes that I spent some time with recently is integrity. Integrity. I asked a young man recently, I said, what's really important for you right now? And with the emphasis that his coach was placing on, he said, it's integrity in your training. So what do you mean by that? He said, if someone can follow you with a camera for 24 hours, sleep excluded, obviously, but for the 24 hours that they're following you, everything that camera shows should be something showing you working towards your goal. And that's really big, because we can always put on a show when it's time to walk in the gym, hit the key card, hit your fingerprint, on the ID, depending on what program you are, go in there and put on a face and put on the right look. What about when you leave? What about when no one's around? What about now with my family being out of town for a few days and I got the house to myself to relax? Am I just going to sleep in all day, or am I going to start working on my goals? You got to think about that. It's not all about what people see you doing in public. It's what you're working on when no one's around. We've become so used to having this public lifestyle with social media and how to kind of play it to the camera, the selfie generation in a sense, and I'm not bashing anyone, but you can take a picture 1,000 times and you get the perfect look. But what are you doing when no one's watching? What are you doing when no one's holding you accountable but yourself? Do you have that integrity? Or as someone would say, do you have a spirit of integris? You can keep doing those things. Actually, Psychology Today talks about that too, and I'll give you some quick rundowns. It's moving beyond just sports. What are 7 signs of people with integrity? Now, I'll say briefly, parents apologizing to their kids for over-punishing or yelling at them. Madeline, I've apologized to you a few times, or I've checked myself to say, you know what, I was wrong for that, and I think that's important. Bosses highlighting their staff's accomplishments and downplaying their own. In many cases, it's the reverse. I admit, when I was in corporate America at a Fortune 1 company, they said, man, promote yourself. Talk about what you've done. It's almost like to show that you've accomplished stuff, to have this money in the bag, to say, this is what I've done. That was interesting. Romantic partners who boycott name calling or other vicious behaviors. I love my wife to death, and we have our little cute pet names that we call each other. I won't mention them on camera because you won't relate, but I will probably send her a text about that right now. But when you really get to the point of not really saying something that's going to be hurtful to someone, especially a partner, someone you're in a committed relationship, and I can also add, this is not getting into marriage counseling or anything like that. Don't keep score. Don't keep score, because somebody's always going to be behind, right? Another one is when you're driving. Drivers who almost never use the horn aggressively. Here's a good one. When you're at the light, someone's in front of you, the light turns green, they're still sitting there. What's your window of time before you hit the horn? And me, in many cases, I say, you know what? I've been that guy. He's probably not paying attention. I'm not really pressed. Thankfully, I'm not, behind schedule, hopefully. And I just kind of wait. And eventually that person looks up and says, oh, and they're so, grateful that no one blew the horn like that, they take off. So that's just a little test to see. Because sometimes we have the ability to blow the horn because we're kind of in silence. There's no real relationship. You can blow the horn and go your other way, especially if you have other frustration you're dealing with. Number 5, People in a position of power apologizing for keeping a captive audience waiting. In my times in politics when, the candidates I worked for had to go meet with other politicians who were already elected, and sometimes there'd be a long wait. You would hope they would come out and be gracious. I really apologize for having you wait. Here's another great example. You ever in line at a restaurant, a drive-thru or something like that, and there's a very, very long wait? And I was just in that position just a day ago. It was a very long wait, and I was pretty perturbed because it wasn't just me. I was way behind another vehicle, and there were several behind us. First thing the person came to the window and said, "I really apologize for your wait." That made all the difference because there was a time I've been in that same position. The person came and they didn't recognize it, and this person was a manager. Meaning that to be accountable and to have the transparency to say, "Look, I know you guys been waiting because we got a lot going on back here." She didn't have to make an excuse of why we were waiting. She just apologized. And that right there was a show of compassion that gave me a greater respect for her, greater respect for the place I was going to. And hey, stuff happens. A few more things as we move along. We talk about, volunteers. To really volunteer for something and to truly want nothing in return is a great thing. That's a sign of integrity. We have a society that doesn't volunteer enough. And I admit, as an entrepreneur, you have to be careful about where you put your time. And then if you know that you're putting your time towards certain things and it's helping, that's one thing. But as a volunteer, I think that's a great sign of integrity when you can go and give a hand expecting nothing in return. But I will say this, it is up to you to determine what you're going to volunteer for and not up to someone else to say, "Hey, why don't you come volunteer and give back?" It's up to me to determine what I want to give my time to at no cost as opposed to someone else. And the last thing I say before we get out of here, let's talk about one other thing. The power of no. The power of the word no. Now, first thing, let's not misconstrue this to have anything to do with relationships, dealing with the opposite sex, or any kind of relationship violence or anything like that. We're not talking about that at all. So that's my only disclaimer. So let's move to this part. What I mean is, the times if you've been told no for something that you may have wanted, the power behind that, and I believe, is that no has led you to your yes. If you're in sales and they say, "Hey, every no is close to a yes," that's one thing. I get it. I've lived that life. But I'm talking about the times when there's something that you wanted, something that you worked hard for, something you prepared for, and you got that crushing no. That crushing, "We're going to go in a different direction." That crushing no response. I look at my own personal life. Opportunities that have been presented to me that may have not been my primary desire, but something I can look at as a great opportunity. And I'm bright enough to say, "Hey, if this is a good way to go, I'll go for it." But then when that no comes, I realize that has forced me to stay on my own path, my own individual path for my story, my glory, and what I can do to be a blessing to others. So as I wrap up this Monday motivation, I just really want to emphasize that the power of no. Sometimes we get no's and it crushes us, as opposed to looking at a no as this is another guide on my journey to get me where I'm supposed to be. Because everything isn't for you, but something is, and that power of no will get you there. So with that, do a quick recap. We talked about gratitude, we talked about integrity, and we talked about the power of no. I really thank you all for taking the time to look at these Monday motivations. I hope they can be a blessing to your life, and I'm glad that I'm able to put some positive energy out into the universe. I think it helps me not only what I want to do, but to be able to see others be successful is really wealth, and I'm happy to be a wealthy man. So thank you guys. Have a great day. Have a great week. And last thing, remember, those big goals, break them down to small goals. Chip away, chip away, chip away, and you'll get where you want to go. All right, and when you get there, shout me out. Take care.